All right, so right here we got LSU's Kyren Lacy found not at fault in fatal crash. I'm a little bit unfamiliar with this situation, so shout out to my boy Alligator who hopped in the Discord and let me know about it, and I will be adding a section in Discord where you guys can provide video suggestions for the reaction channel. But based on what I've deduced so far, it seems pretty cut and dry. College football player accused of a crime he didn't commit, but let's get into figuring out exactly what the details are.
Coming out from down there at Kyren Lacy's story coming out from down there at LSU. I mean, this is heartbreaking, disgusting. You name all of it. LSU wide receiver obviously ends up killing himself in a car after he crashes his car into a pole or an off bank. And this is on the same day he's about to get charged with vehicular homicide. It didn't happen. The reports of what he did were completely wrong, and his lawyer in postpartum at his funeral told him, hey, I got your back. Here he comes in here at the end, Kyren Lacy. So that's the accident that takes place. That is obviously the topic of all the charges that take place. There's Kyren Lacy in the green Charger there. They're saying he was 74 yards behind the actual hit, or 100 yards behind the actual hit, crash whenever it happens. He does drive around it. He ends up getting charged for this entire thing and ends up killing himself in.
Wow, what the hell? Okay, I got thrown into something I was absolutely not prepared for. So he takes his own life because he was accused of taking someone else's life. That is absolutely insane. And my first question is, where did this footage come from? Because it's not just some random bystander that's just recording the road on a fucking random day, right? This is probably CC footage, right? So where was this when he was being charged and convicted? Like, where was this when he was taking his life? Like, why is this just now coming to light? This is insane. This is utterly insane.
Before we even get a chance to see what he could become, what he could do for his family, his community, and everything like that. So this is another thing that was just like false allegations, falsely reported, changed his entire life. And then now we're finding out after he's dead that he didn't do it. It's like sad. Like, all these things were kind of happening at the same time, and it's like just not. It's not good. We gotta get that shit right. Like we that can't be. That Kyren Lacy story is sad, man.
Did he get in a wreck afterwards or something? Like he after that he got in a wreck, and then they accused him of causing the initial wreck.
So that was in December. That particular crash right there, he was getting charged for. Okay, he was getting very serious charges for. And then in April is when he ended up taking his life. Allegedly, he was at a family gathering beforehand, like a cookout or something like that. Something took place, and then he leaves, crashes, and then shoots himself afterwards. So couldn't even imagine the pressure. This is when he was going to get drafted.
Yeah,
now the whole world thinks he's the worst person on earth.
That basically plummeted his draft stock, and it was like, okay, you can't draft this guy. Like, look what's going on. And yeah, look, I mean, none of it fucking happened.
Sad.
Crazy.
Yeah, I don't understand how something like that happens. How does this not come out until this point? I've seen some of the body cam footage and some of the other stuff. That can't happen. Somebody's got to pay severely for doing that type of shit.
His estate's got to sue the state. If it was the state that was bringing the charges, whoever brought the charges, like, they need to be sued for just reasonable damages. Not even as much as they can get, but that's someone's life. That's someone's entire family's trajectory, bro. Like, that's insane. That's just also just sad. That's tragic, bro. That's
railroad him, because you talk about his, obviously it plummeted his draft stock, but literally in his life, ultimately, and not only just his life, just think about his family. Like, the people that care about him, people that love his teammates. I saw a lot of his former teammates and coaches and people that were close to him. So it's just incredibly sad. I don't understand how something like this can happen. Hats off to his lawyer for sticking to his word and sticking to it and getting to the bottom of these things, because it is tough a lot of times when things are getting covered up or pointed in a certain direction to actually get the truth out of it. So shout out to him. Obviously it won't matter to Kyren Lacy at this point, but at least his family.
Clear his family, everybody. I mean, because what was being reported was just matter of fact.
Yeah.
Like what we were reading and everything was like, nope, this is this. We got witness here. Now we're learning about why and how the witness came to say with it, and it's like, that's nasty work, dude.
Like, why?
What? T's and P's, we are so sorry about all this.
Yeah.
Obviously, we can't do anything other than that at this point, but that sucks. And then for 69-year-old Mark Sanchez, happy you guys are both alive. And whatever ends up happening here, it's well-deserved. And hopefully this changes a life a little bit.
Dude, that is absolutely insane. Okay, so I'm gonna need a little bit more context, so hold on for a second, because I need to go look at what this footage is all about, bro, because something about this shit just does not make sense. So apparently this is going to be CCTV footage, or it's gonna be body cam footage. I'm not exactly sure.
I'm Colonel Robert Hodges, Superintendent of Louisiana State Police. You're about to view a critical incident briefing video that is intended to give the community a better understanding of the incident that occurred. The video is inclusive of evidence related to the incident, which may include 911 calls, body-worn camera footage, and other relevant information. As this comprehensive investigation develops, our understanding of the incident may change as additional evidence is collected, analyzed, and reviewed. The Department's ability to investigate these incidents relies on the impartial and transparent investigations, as well as considering the potential criminal responsibility of those involved.
On Tuesday, December 17, 2024, Louisiana State Police Troop C began investigating a fatal crash that occurred on LA 20 near Perez Lane and Chack Bay, located in Lafourche Parish. This investigative briefing has been prepared to provide clarification of the facts and an accurate depiction of the evidence in the moments leading up to the crash and the subsequent investigation. Due to differences in technology, the timestamps on the business surveillance footage may not align with the actual time data recorded by Louisiana State Police based on recorded radio communication.
Okay, right. So this footage came from a business. It's not like close, well, it's CC, but from a business, not from like some kind of like state, light pole or traffic light or anything like that.
That are recorded by Louisiana State Police based on recorded radio communications. According to the video timestamp, at 12:03 p.m. and 52 seconds, a green Dodge Charger is seen traveling south in the opposing lane on LA 20 at a high rate of speed, passing 3 passenger vehicles and 1 loaded 18-wheeler in a designated no passing zone with a 40-mile-per-hour posted speed limit. As the green Dodge Charger returns to the southbound lane, aggressive braking and engine deceleration are immediately followed by a crash that can be heard on the surveillance footage.
Okay. So it looks like this is probably what they used to make those charges and kind of make their initial assumptions about what happened, because just based off of that, illegal passing, what looks to be speeding. And I mean, I don't know if it's illegal passing, but if they say this is a no passing road, which if it's like one lane in 2 different directions, it's almost always no passing, at least in the South. I'm from the South and Louisiana's in the South. So that seems to be the case. So, I mean, I guess I could see why they would make that assumption, but it's very circumstantial, right? And this is what I was talking about with the David case, bro. Like, they charge niggas with way less circumstantial evidence. So like the fact that it's kind of tangential, but the fact that they need so much physical proof and so many statements in order to make any charge against David is very interesting, because they definitely all the time, this is evidence that they will make charges on very little circumstantial evidence. But let's continue.
According to the video timestamp, at 12:03 p.m. and 54 seconds, a portion of the crash can be seen as it occurs. Moments before the crash, the gold pickup truck abruptly veers out of the northbound lane into a business, while the green Charger is approaching in the same lane. Immediately after the crash occurred, the green Charger was observed on surveillance video and by witnesses traveling through the crash scene and continues north on LA 20, failing to stop. At the same time, all other vehicles remain at the scene to provide assistance.
Well, I mean, that's not a crime, though. You don't have to stop at an accident. I would, but you don't have to. Right, so he's nowhere near that shit when the crash happens. Interesting. So where was this footage, 8-10 months ago, right? Where was this footage a year ago?
The briefing will now transition to the troopers' response and investigation. At 12 o'clock p.m., a 2-vehicle injury crash with road blockage was dispatched to Louisiana State Police Troop C via the 911 dispatch system. The responding trooper arrived on the scene at 12:07 p.m. and was immediately met by numerous witnesses who described a green Charger driving aggressively and causing the crash. The video has been edited for time purposes.
Region 2, be advised, we got total road blockage on LA 20.
Well, I guess it's more than circumstantial if a bunch of witnesses start IDing your very, like, noticeable car, so...
If you get a chance, can you advise code of injury?
Civil.
It's a natural instinct to turn and then she had not hit head on.
Did you see a green Charger flying that way? A green Charger that going that way?
There was a green Charger
There was a green Charger
caused all this.
SRT8, he caused all of it. He went to pass the cars way back there, sir.
The green Charger collided with these cars?
He went right between.
He went around that truck, okay?
He was passing up with
her right now, and she had no choice. She hits the
That's crazy because that's literally not true. This is like a group hysteria type of situation. That's literally not true what they're saying. It's insane.
How are they injuries? What are they?
She got a broken ankle.
But I get where they're coming from because I'm not gonna lie, I fucking hate when people with like muscle cars and fast cars and supercars do bullshit like this just because they have a car that has a little bit like faster acceleration and they can. It's just I hate shit like that. So I could understand why people would immediately like start jumping at that at an opportunity to say things like this. But it seems to be wrong. It seems to be wrong.
Complaining of back injuries and then stuff like that. I was
So two back injuries, one broken ankle.
Yeah,
I'm not exactly. I just told him not to move. You know what I'm saying? Me doing my part.
You said something about a green Charger. Who told you something about a green Charger?
I'm down 18 wheeler right there, sir.
Okay, so you saw it.
I saw it.
What did you see happen?
He went to pass him. I'll say when he went to pass these cars back there. He was back there around around the curve. All right.
Okay.
All right. Hey. He come down, right? When he come down, I got Mr. He had his brother that he was taken to the emergency room, to the hospital or something like that, or chemo or something like that. But I got his number also to verify this, because he was the car that was in front of her. When that green Charger came, he went caused this whole big traffic, so everybody went to hitting brakes because the Charger. I thought he was hitting the gold truck head on. So he jumped.
Yeah, that's literally not true. That's crazy.
On brakes. She was coming down. They was going that way. When I saw...
Which way was the Charger going? The Charger
going this way.
Charger's going this way, okay.
It's like the only true thing he said so far.
They was going this way also. Mr. jumped on brakes. She went to dodge Mr. And that's when she came on.
I was watching. I was by the gas
station. Hit him, on the left side. She come over and hit him.
Which 18-wheeler were you driving?
The red one. Right there.
So the Charger, I guess, passed you up?
The Charger D-line, it was cars behind me because I'm taking my time.
And the Charger passed all, it was passing?
W Astro shirt.
All these cars in this
everybody.
And so almost hit this one head on.
No, he almost hit this. It was a gold truck. I got his number right here. That's why I took his number and his name.
Almost hit the gold truck head on.
Yeah, that's his number and phone number and name.
So the gold truck, what did the gold truck do?
The gold truck in his area right here.
The gold truck slams on his brakes.
Slams on brakes to stop the Charger. The Charger swerves back in.
Okay.
And cut somebody else off, whoever was behind them.
Okay.
But then they slammed. They was no. The Charger, he swerved in front of them. They slammed on brakes, and by this time, Mr. he slips through, right?
Okay.
As he slips through, she's coming. She like to ram the back of the gold truck. That's what I'm saying.
She almost hit the back of Mr.
Yeah, Mr.
Was Mr. truck hit?
No. He was missed.
Okay. So the truck, Mr. He slammed on it.
In other words, it was right up. The gold truck was right up there.
Right. Yeah. He slams on his brakes to avoid the Charger.
Yeah.
This car,
what? Cuts that car off, if I'm not mistaken.
So what does this car do? It just swerves out the way to avoid.
Avoid.
So because I was watching it too.
She turned the wrong way. Yeah. Instead of going towards the post, she turned this way.
Yeah. Okay, so she turned this way, and then this car was just coming.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah. And then the Charger came around.
That's the number for the guy that was in the gold truck.
So did they just take these statements at complete face value and use this information to charge and convict him without, or not convict, I guess, but like charge him without bothering to see if they had any closed circuit footage of this situation? That's like insane. That's insane. That's insane. I guess it's not shocking for something to happen in the state of Louisiana. They don't seem to be like a state that would be like bountiful in thoroughly orchestrated jurisdictions, but still, like, why would you not at least do that sooner, bro? It just doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't make any sense.
Okay. Charger passed in between the mailbox and the car.
Stopped.
I took that because he was leaving, but you know.
Okay. Like your precinct has phones, right? Like, because officers never do shit like that, like take pictures of evidence and information on their personal phones. Those are like work phones. So you've got iPhones as work phones, but y'all aren't bothering to check if there's any closed circuit footage that you can look at to verify like what these people are saying, or just to get a closer look or a better understanding of the situation. That's odd to me. That's very interesting to me. It seems like, I don't think it's like malicious. I hope it's not, but it does seem like very, very negligent.
And see what happened, the Charger had stopped.
Is a green Charger?
Yeah. But then when he seen what happened, he almost hit me because he came right here. He kept on.
He was the only one that, he was one of the only ones that jumped out of traffic. Everybody else turned around, went the other way. He jumped out of traffic, eased through here, and went on down the road.
That's like the second true thing he said so far.
I know it's hurting right now, but do you think you could just tell me briefly what happened? Or do you remember?
I just know the truck was stopping on brakes. The other car was trying to pass the other car. I was trying to dodge by not hitting them by coming around.
Okay. Do you remember how fast you were going?
The speed limit.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
While on scene, the investigating trooper obtained written and recorded statements. The trooper also spoke with additional witnesses via phone and ultimately obtained written statements later in the investigation. After the crash, the passenger in the Kia Sorento died. As part of the continued investigation, I mean,
that's sad too. That's sad too.
Investigating trooper made contact with the driver of the gold truck at a later date to obtain an official written statement based on previous conversations. Troopers also received an additional witness statement describing the erratic driving behavior of the green Charger 10 minutes before the crash. Following the on-scene investigation, troopers identified the green Charger as a vehicle of interest and utilized 21 separate surveillance video cameras to capture the uninterrupted path of the green Charger from the crash scene to its Thibodeau business 11 miles away. Through the use of investigative tools, troopers were able to...
They used the... this is crazy, bro. They used the closed circuit footage to hunt down his car, but not cross-check the information they got from witnesses at the scene of the goddamn alleged crime. That is crazy. Oh, wow. That's insane.
Obtained the license plate number of the green Charger on December 19th, 2024. Wow. On December 26, 2024, troopers determined that Kyren Lacy was the driver of the green Charger at the time of the crash. Just prior to the crash, Lacy was illegally in the opposing lane, passing southbound vehicles. The gold truck traveling north veered right to avoid a head-on collision with the green Charger. As the gold truck veered right, the driver of the Kia Cadenza saw the approaching green Charger. In reaction, the Kia Cadenza driver swerved left into the southbound lane and impacted a northbound Kia Sorento. Through the investigation, troopers determined that the driver of the gold truck reacted appropriately to avoid a head-on collision with the green Charger, which was approaching at a high rate of speed. In consideration of the high speed of the green Charger compared to the surrounding and opposing vehicles, the reaction time of the involved drivers was greatly diminished. Since the incident occurred, the Louisiana State Police never reported that the green Charger impacted any of the involved vehicles. However, all evidence collected supports the conclusion that Lacy's reckless operation of the green Charger in oncoming traffic triggered the chain of events involving the other drivers, ultimately resulting in the fatal crash.
Really?
Additionally, troopers determined that less than 10 minutes after the crash occurred, evidence supports that Lacy's first outgoing phone call was to a Baton Rouge area personal injury and defense attorney. After consultation with the Lafourche Parish District Attorney's Office on January 2nd, 2025, an arrest warrant was signed on January 8th, 2025 through the 17th Judicial Court for Kyren Lacy. In coordination with his attorney, Lacy was arrested on January 12th, 2025 at the Lafourche Parish Correctional Center. The driver of the Kia Cadenza was initially issued a citation for following too close, which was later amended to driving left of center. This incident resulted in numerous injuries and loss of life. All involved victims deserve a thorough and complete investigation based on all available factual evidence.
Okay, but this was released by a YouTube channel that is called the LA State Police. So Louisiana State Police, right? So obviously that might not be their official YouTube channel. They might not even have that. But that doesn't seem like he's exonerated or anything like that. So I'm interested to see exactly where the sentiment that he's been exonerated is coming from, because based on that footage, it doesn't even look like he caused the incident. But they're saying based on his speed and illegal passing, even though he's nowhere near the incident, that his behavior on the road ultimately caused the incident. So,
fellas, we had the conversation about Kyren Lacy after he passed, and recently it was revealed by his attorney, Matt Ory, that he was innocent, that he wasn't near the crash, that state police officers coerced and coached statements. What are your thoughts on, what we learned this week?
Well, it is a damn shame, man. That man lost his life on some lies. The damn cop wanted to get that man in trouble. Everybody knows it's a lie. And I know that they're talking about, they're gonna make laws and all that stuff. Now, that ain't gonna happen until 2029. They're gonna argue about it all day in the state. I want justice now. That damn cop.
Okay, super short video that didn't really explain a damn thing to me.
In the speakeasy, we have fun.
Let's see what Emmanuel Asho has to say about it.
Yep. We celebrate a lot of things. We celebrate all the things.
Take shots.
We take shots. But we want to make sure the speakeasy is one of the most versatile and well-versed shows that y'all can watch. We want to make sure that the speakeasy is somewhere you can laugh, but if need be, if somewhere you got to hold some heavy emotions, we want to make sure y'all can do that. Reason I'm bringing that up, there's no real way to transition into this next topic besides just calling out a little bit of the discomfort in transitioning to this next topic. And for anybody that's unfamiliar with the Kyren Lacy story, I'll let Kyren kind of share on, and we can just discuss on that real quick.
Yeah, so Kyren Lacy, LSU star receiver last football season, ended up getting in some trouble off the field, it seemed. He was accused of not a hit and run, but impeding traffic, driving recklessly, and then causing an accident that took the life of a former military man. And in that, afterwards was blasted online, was absolutely shamed online. It was right during the draft process. People were calling him a thug. There was accounts of Barstool was saying some crazy things about him, acting like they weren't surprised about how he was acting. And it led to a lot. It led to a lot. I know some people that know Kyren personally, and it led to him being extremely, extremely depressed and dealing with a lot of these really, really rough things in life, especially at such a crazy time that's supposed to be something happy for him. Afterwards, he ended up getting into a altercation with a family member and then ended up taking his life. And it was released 2 days ago by his lawyer, a series of videos. One video shows the accident actually happening and Kyren's car coming 100 yards away. And it was revealed that he actually wasn't the reason why the accident happened. And then there was also another very disturbing video of a policeman essentially telling a witness what to say about what happened at the accident. And I think this is just such a heartbreaking thing because everybody, and I mean everybody, just especially with today's media, moves way too fast to blame someone.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, based on the footage that I saw from that YouTube page, it seems like his car is way too far away, and it seems like that cop was definitely coercing statements. Absolutely. And again, it doesn't seem like they were judging the situation that's shown on the camera in a very balanced manner.
Without all the facts coming out, we move way too fast to put down someone. And this young man had an entire bright future ahead of him. And because of horrible narratives being pushed and assumptions, led him to doing something that I don't think anyone of us ever want to see anyone that we love do. And I just wanted to say, Kyren, rest up, and it's unbelievable what transpired. I had a tweet. I said I stand on it too. I had a tweet and I said I hope Kyren's family bankrupts the state of Louisiana, and I don't literally mean he bankrupt the state of Louisiana, but I mean wholeheartedly. I hope that family gets as much as they possibly can because of what happened to this young man. It's completely unfair. It's unbelievable. And to be honest with you, it's very, very heartbreaking news knowing how talented and nice and amazing this young man was. I worked with so many kids that he also worked with and spent time out of his day to go work with them and trainers that he loved and talked to every single day. And to have this false narrative be pushed on him in his late days is just unbelievable and extremely sad. And I think we as a society, we as a country, we as people that we take all this information need to do a whole lot better.
Yeah, I feel awful. I mean, a lot of things you just said I agree with. You know what frustrates me the most is that, like, we all have a job to do. And I think when something's so serious like this that could change the family's life, his life, everybody has to do their job. Like, why is the evidence just coming out?
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
That's my question.
When you charge somebody, right, and you talking about murder, you talking about all these type of things, like, we need people to do their job. So we get to if it's true or false. Like, for example, all the technology we have nowadays, you telling me I couldn't look at the traffic cameras and all that? Like, we have so much.
That's literally what I'm saying, which is why I'm so confused as to why that YouTube page is saying that he's ultimately being determined to be at fault when that is literally not the case right now. Like, basically, that's the only place I've gotten that information so far since actually looking into this situation. Maybe that's what was determined prior, but that's not what was shown in the video at all. There's no way him being a football field away is enough distance, like him being proximal to the incident enough to cause that accident. Like, I'm sorry, but no. Is he driving recklessly? Yes, but is it enough to cause that incident and be blamed for it? I'm sorry, but no. I'm sorry, but no.
Freaking DNA, you have so much freaking resources, technology. Come on, every car now has a video camera to it. Every street like has, and when you're a young kid, right, and you've been trained every day to be at the highest level playing in the NFL, that's like one of your dreams. You see your teammates going and all that. You want to get there, and you try to have a squeaky clean reputation, and then something comes upon your desk that's saying you did this, you did that. And you can't even clear your name. And that's like a lot of pressure, a lot of stress, a lot of trauma, right? And that's like nobody thinks of them things. And then when the stuff hits the fan, like, oh, everybody wants to act like they're so surprised. No, if you do your job, we probably wouldn't be here right now. And it sucks for his family because I got a son. He's 13. Like it's so much you got to worry about in this world. And now, you know,
damn, Shady McCoy has a 13-year-old.
Like that's terrible. I feel bad for his family. A lot of prayers to him and his family, man.
Man,
you know, rest up well.
I got so many thoughts. One, I'm glad to be able to have these conversations with y'all. I hate the conversation we're having, but I'm glad that we're able to have the conversation. My first thought is we have to be mindful of being, that judge and that jury on social media. Oftentimes, being found guilty in the court of public opinion does more damage than being found guilty in the actual court, because if you're found guilty in the court of public opinion, that's already completely ruined that person's emotions, completely ruined that person's family, completely ruined that person's emotional health and emotional stability. That's my first thought. My second thought is we have to all be cognizant of logging off, get offline. The world is a cruel place, especially when the world can hide behind the shadows of anonymity, which you can do on social media. So be cognizant of just logging off and getting online to protect your own mental health when you need to. And then the last thing, and I shared this, but I'll share it again, is I heard this story, y'all, and it's not more, it's a little gruesome, but it tells something. And the story, Shady, it's about a skydiving instructor was telling the people that he was teaching, look, if you were to go skydiving, it's not, and your parachute were to malfunction, it's not the initial blow on the ground that will kill you. Yes, that will be incredibly painful, obviously, but all of your bones will fracture. And it's the fracturing of the bones puncturing your lungs that actually kills you after you bounce. Why am I sharing that story? Because the author gave the analogy of do your best to catch your friends on the bounce. There's the initial blow in life, the initial blow of something tragic happens in your life, like the initial blow of making contact with the ground. But it's do your best to catch your friends on the bounce. So if Kyren, if you're going through a hard time, don't just be like, oh, yo, you see what happened to Kyren, but like, let me try to intercede in your life and catch you on the bounce. If 2-5's going through a hard time, if something happens publicly or something happens privately, it's usually not the initial blow that's the most devastating blow to an individual. It's the bounce. It's the reaction. And when I think about Kyren Lacy, the initial blow was the accusations. That was the initial blow. But the problem with the bounce was everybody on social media saying, you're a thug, you do a gun celebration, so surely you did this. Oh, you get in the end zone and you start playing with guns, so you're a thug, you're a murderer, you look like all of these things.
This is disgusting.
It was vitriolic and it was absolutely disgusting. And so I just challenge y'all watching. I challenge my brothers to my right, to my left, and I challenge myself. Make sure you intercede for your friends when you can on the bounce. It's not always that initial blow. It's not always the, man, I got caught doing this. Man, my spouse found out I did that. Man, the bank saw I did this. Man, I had to file for bankruptcy. It's not
This nigga's spitting right now. I'm not going to lie to you.
Always that initial blow. It's that bounce. And I've tried to make sure I've texted my friends that have fallen in any sort of trouble in the last several hours or several days, like, yo, here for you, love you. I'm going to check on you. I'm going to bother you. Like, we got to start bothering people. You know what I'm saying? Like, make somebody say I'm good. That's fine. I'm pulling up on you anyway, just to give you a hug, just to check in,
That's real.
just to make sure you're good. We going to dinner. Steak 48, 2-5. We going to oh, you're good? That's fine. We're going anyway. You know what I mean? So, like, let's just try to make sure that we can do what we can to mitigate as much of this as possible.
100%, man. Rest up, Kyren Lacy, man.
He's spitting. Okay, there's one more thing I want to look into, perhaps. Okay, bro actually has a YouTube page, Kyren's Lawyer. So he released this 44-minute video, which, let's go through it. Fuck it, let's go through it.
This segment is brought to you by Terrebonne Ford. Built Ford tough.
Hello again, everyone, and welcome to Bayou Time. I'm Martin Falls. And if you recall, months ago, I had attorney Matt Ory on our program to talk about Kyren Lacy's involvement or non-involvement in a wreck that took place, which took the life of a very popular man, Mr. Hall. And it was well documented, went national. It was talked about, it was written about, it was blogged about, it was all over the nation. So I did tell Mr. Ory back then, and I also tell everyone involved in this, whether you're an attorney or whether you're part of the investigation, you're always welcome to tell your story on HTV. So I told Mr. Ory, if you have anything to add to the story at any point, please give me a holler and we'll get you on. So joining me now is Matt Ory, attorney, and good to see you, Matt. Thank you for coming.
Good to see you, Martin. Thank you for having me.
Did you compile anything new?
I've got everything. I've got every piece of evidence I have viewed. I've examined every piece of evidence, which includes all surveillance, all body cam footage, and most importantly, the investigative report that was generated and manufactured by the Lafourche Parish District Attorney's Office, according to the data that they obtained.
In that report, which is independent of you, you know, when I was going through it and looking at some of these things in it, I think you'll probably go over where they were, because I see you brought a board where you're going to depict where all of them were during the incident, and you have all that information to sort of explain where everyone was at, how fast they were going, what they were doing, all of that.
I do. I've got it all here.
Okay. So most of this reports, or do you have actual video?
At the entirety of the district attorney's findings, their findings after their own investigation. That's what we're here today to present. We're going to compare and contrast those findings with the findings of state police, because there's a ton of confusion. People seem to believe that somehow he hit someone in this accident, or possibly even shot through two cars and there was this explosion behind him. I've heard every version possible. But we can show you the version right now.
Okay. Sort of describe the video for our audience, what you've seen in the video.
Yeah, so what you'll see is in the top left of the screen, you're going to see multiple cars just making their way south to Thibodeau, coming from Vacherie. At some point in time, you're going to see the collision, which we're going to know is vehicle number 2 from oncoming traffic colliding with the vehicle of Mr. Hall. You will see another vehicle come to a stop, and then you'll see Kyren Lacy come to a stop.
So as we've seen the video, it looks like the impact happens, and then Kyren Lacy is behind him. How far away was he from there?
Well, yeah, that's the beauty of the investigative report that I now have my hands on. We know from data that Kyren Lacy did, in fact, pass 4 cars. There's no disputing that. Further north, Kyren Lacy passed 4 cars. However, he was back in his lane of travel, 92.3 yards. Back in his lane.
That's what I'm saying. So the guess of 100 yards wasn't even off. Literally an entire football field away from the incident, and he's back in his lane of travel. There's literally no way that they can say he caused that incident. There's no way.
Behind Mr. Hall. At the time of impact, he's 72.6 yards behind the vehicles at the time of impact. Keyword, behind the vehicles. That is not how this story was ever painted.
No.
Any part of the district attorney's investigation that talked about Mr. Lacy getting back, I guess we call it what do you call it, correcting or getting in your proper lane?
Sure, he was back in his proper lane according to their data. This isn't my expert. This is the investigation of the Lafourche Parish District Attorney's Office. So I'm here simply comparing and contrasting the District Attorney's Office with state police in this matter, their investigations. And in that investigation, it shows that he was back in his correct lane of travel, 92.3 yards. Before this incident occurred, he was back in his lane.
What does the legal law state about where you should be behind? Or I want to say I thought it was 100 feet. Is that correct?
It is correct. You know, take out the fact here that it's a
so 100 feet is 30 yards.
Passing zone. If it weren't at this time, it's 100 feet. What we know now is he was 3 times legally what he needed to be back in his lane of traffic.
Where was everybody involved in this? And I see you brought something that you could visibly show everybody.
Yeah, I mean, like I stated, if we're looking at this, and of course this isn't to scale, and I can't draw, but what you see here is vehicle 3. That is Mr. Hall's vehicle. This is another vehicle between Mr. Lacy and Mr. Hall.
Okay.
This is the gold truck that's referenced in the report. This is heading north. So this is the lead vehicle heading north. And the vehicle that actually collided with Mr. Hall's vehicle, that would be vehicle 2. All right. So through the course of this now, we start investigating.
You know what's crazy? I think the gold vehicle actually did what they accused Kyren of doing, because that vehicle, the driver of that vehicle actually left the scene, even though they seem to be the one that kind of actually caused everything. But let's just keep listening.
And dissecting everything we possibly can. When we do that, we start with vehicle 2, right? So what do I know now about vehicle 2? Vehicle 2 was tailgating, all right? According to the data, again, of the District Attorney's Office, not me, according to their data, tailgating at 49.6 miles an hour, 0.5 seconds behind the gold truck, 1.5 seconds before the crash. So again, if that didn't make sense, she is following 0.5 seconds behind this vehicle, 0.5 seconds behind that vehicle, 1.5 seconds before the crash at over 49 miles an hour, 0.5.
Can you elaborate on that?
Sure. So now what we're looking at, this isn't speculation. Through this, we hear there's story after story. Actually, vehicle 2's story got bigger and bigger and bigger until we now have their data, right? So when we get our hands on it, I'm looking at the data from that particular vehicle. That data in that vehicle shows me 5 seconds previous to this crash. 5. I'm looking at it, and you're going to show it. 5 seconds previous to this crash, she maintained a speed of 49.6 miles an hour, never activating the EBS system until 0.5 seconds before the crash. Why is that important? Because if your story, which we'll get into, keeps getting bigger and bigger, and you had all this time to see the gold truck, in her words, stomp on their brakes, slam on their brakes, come to a stop, veer off the road. I see another vehicle approaching. I see the Charger approaching. Well, my question to you now becomes, how did you see that vehicle approaching, or him stop, or him slam on his brakes, yet your data says you never touched your brake?
Right.
Prior to 0.5 seconds before that crash.
Right.
I'm looking right now, so are you, at the last 5 seconds, according to her. Her car's black box. Not mine, not my expert. That's her car. So if you're going to tell me a 5 to 10 second elaborate story, it needs to make sense. And when you have the data, not only doesn't it add up, it's not possible. Notice on there, Martin, it says 75 degrees, right? You turn 75 degrees to the left all of a sudden. That's what happens when you tailgate. Now, interestingly enough, this vehicle was actually, when this woman was in the ambulance, they issued her a ticket, all right? You know for what? Take a wild guess.
Tailgating.
Following too close.
Yep.
Data from the District Attorney's Office tells me you're traveling 0.5 seconds at 49.6 miles an hour, 1.5 seconds before the accident. That's not tailgating? That's not following too close? Of course it is. Ticket was taken away.
I'm looking at the data, and I'm learning some new things here. So the 75, the steering input at 75 to the left.
That's correct.
Any indicate that, I would guess 75 on a scale of 100, that's a pretty hard turn to the left.
It's a very hard turn to the left. The gold truck, the lead vehicle in oncoming traffic, who, by the way, is probably one of the 2 most important witnesses in this entire case. We know now that 2.99 seconds prior to him pulling off the road, he was traveling 28 miles an hour. 28 miles an hour. Now, you're going to hear his statement in a little while, and it's going to all make sense. But let's be very clear right now for the intent and purposes of what we're doing. There are 2 vehicles that we're talking about right now that are traveling north. The second vehicle in oncoming traffic, which is vehicle 2, their data says she is tailgating. She is 0.5 seconds at 49.6 miles an hour, 1.5 seconds before the crash. And you saw her data, 50.3 to 49.6.
Yeah, so she stayed at 49.6 until 0.5 seconds, and then...
There's a variation of less than a mile per hour.
Yeah.
It's 0.7, I believe.
Right. Did she give any police report or anything?
Oh, absolutely. So
let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, we will. This particular individual, and for purposes of this report, I'd like you, Martin, this is page 9, if you can follow along to make sure I'm not misquoting a single thing.
All right.
All right, I'm looking at the investigative report of the District Attorney's Office. And then here you can see this is their investigator looking at vehicle 2 statements, and now he's analyzing. He says, upon reviewing the body cam video of the trooper from the scene, the following statement was made by, we'll call her vehicle 2, right? I just know the truck was stomping on brakes. The other was trying to pass the other car. I was trying to dodge by not hitting him by coming around. When the trooper asked how fast she was going, she replied the speed limit. He next says, I reviewed the recorded interview and the written statement from...
Remember, she did say that in the video, I was going the speed limit, but that... what was the speed limit, bro? Was it 50 on a road like that? Somehow I doubt that, but...
Vehicle 2, while she was in the hospital on January 3rd, 2025. Below is a synopsis of that interview. And the very first, it says, all I can see is that a car is coming this way and the car in front of me. Right before the crash. I'm looking at the pickup truck in front of me. That's all they see for the moment. I'm eating my Funyuns. I got in the middle of my lap and I'm driving. I'm listening to my music. All of a sudden, I see the car get in the other person's lane. The truck, in quotes, steps on his brakes. First, so it slows down, but then he does it again, and this time it's really hard. That's when you can see on the other side, the car is trying to get back over. But before he can get over, the truck stops in the middle, like on the brakes, hard. There's another car that runs damn near into the pole. It's either I run into him or I try to get out the way, so I'm trying to get to the dollar store parking lot. Then the other car just comes and slams into me. The trooper asked Vehicle 2, whenever you're looking forward, or the car's in front of you, they swerve off to the right before you make your left, or you're looking at a green Charger coming at you. Or, end of quotes. Vehicle 2 responded with, the green Charger came, and then the car behind me, behind them, the truck, the van, whatever. The trooper does not ask any further follow-up questions to get a better understanding of what she was saying for this answer. Now remember, I'm reading what the investigator's saying. When Vehicle 2 states the truck stops in the middle of the road like on the brakes hard, this statement indicates that the gold truck stopped in the middle of the lane and not, in quotes, swerving off to the right. This would also show that Vehicle 2 would have steered to the left to avoid contact with the gold truck and not Kyren Lacy. During this interview with the trooper, Vehicle 2 made several statements that do not match the submitted report or written statement. Instead of questioning Vehicle 2 for more details, the trooper attempted to recap what she was saying, which seems to contradict her statements. While doing this, the trooper is the first to talk about the gold truck swerving off to the right. Then when it came to obtaining the written statement, the trooper tells Vehicle 2 what to document on the statement as she is writing.
I have two questions here.
Wow.
One, I'd like to know more about the statement that she made to the trooper. The other one would be, do we have any data on the gold truck?
2.99 seconds before the gold truck eases off to the road.
Okay.
Eases off of the road.
Right.
He's traveling at 28 miles an hour.
Right.
That all is in this report.
Yeah, that's my question.
You watched someone slam on their brakes. You watched them stop. You watched a car charge coming at you in your lane of traffic, but you never thought to just tap the brakes? Really? No. Data is accurate. The black box is accurate that says that you never touched your brakes. You never touch your brakes the last 5 seconds until 0.5 seconds before the impact. That's their data. It's not mine.
Proceed. What did you find out after that?
So what I was curious about here, most importantly to me, in terms of the oncoming traffic, right? So I'm looking at that gold truck. I want to know what they said, when they said it, what were the circumstances, how did this come about? And this is where it really starts tying together, right? The gold truck, they end up getting a statement from this individual. There's two of them. The very first one, what I noticed on the body cam was that the conversation was going on for 4 minutes and approximately 30 seconds prior to the body cam being activated. And of course, when the body cam's activated, I don't know what you said those previous 4.5 minutes, they end up at this individual's house to obtain a statement. I want to play right now how that statement started.
Okay, let's roll that in.
All right, sir. So, look, don't worry about filling any of this top information, like your name, address. Don't worry about any of that. Just right here, if you could, I'll just have you write exactly what you saw. Just make sure to include, where you were.
I don't even know what the name of that highway.
So that's Highway 20. Highway 20. That you just.
All right, me and my wife gonna fill that right.
He's literally telling him what to write down. That's crazy. Are you supposed to do that?
Okay, just make sure you add in there that you had to slam on your brakes and the brakes
Bro, bro, what? You can't do that. You can't do that.
Slam on the brakes to avoid that charger and the brakes locked up to avoid that charger. That's.
I ain't scared my car nothing. I wasn't even going for it. That lady in the back of me, she didn't know what was happening. That's how she called that wreck. She was running in the back of me. She pulled on the other side. And
So, but the charger was coming right at you, correct? And that's why you had to slam on your brake, the head on with you. So yeah, just
wait, yo.
That's very important because we're trying to locate this charger right now. So just include that in the statement, and I'll read it over, and then I'll be out of here.
In that video, you can clearly hear the suggestive nature, indicating that I need you to say that you had to slam on your brakes and you had to avoid the charger.
Okay, just make sure you add in there that you had to slam on your brakes and the brakes, you had to slam on the brakes to avoid that charger and the brakes locked up to avoid that charger. That's
gold truck, the witness who's the gold truck, what he says. And he says verbatim.
I ain't scared my car nothing. I wasn't even going for it. That lady in the back of me, she didn't know what was happening. That's how she called that wreck. She was running in the back of me. She pulled on the other side. And
I didn't skid marked or nothing because I wasn't even going that fast. That lady in the back of me, she didn't see what's happening. That's how she caused that wreck. She was going to run into the back of me, and she pulled into the other side. there's a bigger problem.
Damn.
I then obtained the actual written statement.
And this is from the gold truck.
This is the gold truck. Now, after the statement we just went through, notice, I've obviously redacted names, addresses, and the cell phone number in fairness to the individual who is gold truck number one in oncoming traffic. See, the problem with that statement is it is in direct contravention to what was said minutes earlier. It's not written by him, and where it says signed, it's not signed, it's refused. But you see, when I have a witness who is the most critical, and he's telling you, I wasn't traveling fast. We know now that he wasn't. The data shows 2.99 seconds before that he was traveling 28 miles an hour. The data shows.
And it's crazy because not only did he say that, even though he was coached not to, there's also like scientific evidence that that's the fact.
What's that?
That's
now, he corroborates
crazy.
That. And he goes on to say, I didn't even make a skid mark. That woman behind me, she caused that accident. And you give me this statement that is refused? I got a problem. I got a problem with that. A big one. What he's saying is she had to avoid hitting him. He specifically stated she caused that accident. But I've got an affidavit for arrest warrant right here. Nowhere in here does it say anything that you guys just saw on body cam. To the contrary, about that vehicle, it says the gold truck took evasive action by emergency braking and driving off the roadway to avoid a head-on crash. But you just heard he said, I wasn't even going fast. I didn't even skid mark. So what emergency braking are we referring to here? And what the hell was the point of this report? That is complete opposite. I would expect that you'll show this to where they can read what was said versus what was written just minutes earlier.
Just make sure you add in there that you had to slam on your brakes and the brakes, like, you had to slam on the brakes to avoid that charger and brakes.
Bro, he's literally telling him to say the opposite of what he just said so that he can go get the driver of the fucking green charger. That is crazy. That is crazy, gang.
Locked up to avoid that charger. That's.
I ain't skid mark or nothing. I wasn't even going for it. That lady in the back of me, she didn't know what was happening. That's how she called that wreck. She was running in the back of me. She pulled on the other side. And that's not it.
So, but the charger was coming right at you, correct? And that's why you had to slam when you brake the head on with you. So yeah, just make sure you include that, and that's very important because we're trying to locate this charger right now. So just include that in the statement.
Bro, the cop completely ignored the fact that he said she's the one that caused the accident. Oh, that's crazy.
I'll read it over, and then I'll be out of here. Okay.
By the way, the body cam wasn't on for this statement. It was turned off before obtaining this statement. And this is what we get back in the file. This. Remember, Kyren passed. I just put X's. This is where Kyren passed, right? He comes here, he passes. He gets back in his lane. Don't you know that one of these witnesses that's in this package actually says in his statement that the charger passed through the vehicle of Mr. Hall and the gold truck and vehicle 2, and then they collided. I can't make...
Hang on, I gotta do something really quickly. All right, we back.
Make this up. This is what people just don't get to see. And again, I'm not saying this intentional. I'm saying people commit to a story and they don't back down. You saw it here, but I'm telling you, you guys saw a video. You just saw a statement where somebody tells them what to say. They tell them that's not what happened. They still give the statement. And now I got another individual who we won't harp into here because it's so uncredible, right? That one individual, one of the 4 individuals here, they say that they were going 30 to 35 miles an hour when Kyren passed him. He did. There's no disputing that. No one ever did, but he was back in his lane of travel. 92.3 yards back in. 72.6 at the time of impact. When they collide, he is 72.6. Before they collide, he is almost a football field away back in his lane. That's not disputed. What you can see is another car coming to a stop, and then Kyren Lacy coming to a stop. But you know what's really interesting to me as well is that there was another passenger in Kyren Lacy's car. They knew this. They have video footage of this individual getting out of the car. Why didn't you ascertain his identity? Why would you not want to hear the person with one of the best views of this incident? Why would you make a call? Why would you simply not bring him in?
I know
for
why.
Questioning?
And I'm sure you talked to him after?
Of course, I talked to him after. That's exactly what they said. Yeah. It's exactly what they said. They actually thought at one point in time that she collided with the gold truck. That's the very first thing they told me, that they thought that this vehicle 2, was trying to get around the 2, as in slide between them, as in, uh-oh. So you can see why. This is just amazing now, what I know, and there's so much more. We've spent hours and hours and hours scouring, but I don't know how else to tell anybody else that this is not mine. I didn't generate this. I didn't manipulate this. I didn't alter it. I didn't manufacture it.
So
I received it from the district attorney's office.
It's absolutely diabolical that YouTube page, which there's no way that actually belongs to the Louisiana State Police. But it is absolutely diabolical that they could post that footage showing what is shown, including the officer actively coercing during the actual occurrence of the incident, going on to say that Kyren is still deemed at fault. Now, maybe was the assessment at the time, sure, but with the advent of this information becoming available, this new information becoming available, there's just no way. I'm sorry.
My job, and I compare it to the report. in the investigation of state police, and it is drastic. It's drastic. The very last line of the report from the district attorney's office says, the evidence submitted in the crash report does not support that Kyren Lacy should have known that his actions were the cause of the crash that happened approximately 72 yards in front of him. And what we know is, we never disputed ever that he passed those vehicles. They were in a row, 4 vehicles in a row. We know they were going 30 to 35 miles an hour. He passed them. It was a no passing zone, but he got back in. 92.3 yards, he was back in his lane of travel. He was 72 yards behind at the time of impact.
Yeah, right. And no one's refuting that isn't something that you should get a ticket for. No one's refuting that that's something you should pay a fine for. But that's very different from committing vehicular manslaughter or negligent homicide, right? That's not even remotely the same thing.
We know that now. He was actually the second car to pull up behind, not even the first. At no point in time.
Exactly. And it's in the correct lane of traffic too.
His brakes. He wasn't even close to the second car. He just eased in. He eased in. He went straight from there to the facility retriever for his football practice. But he had no idea he caused this accident because he didn't think he caused the accident. He didn't cause the accident.
When did you get knowledge of it? When did you first get on the case itself? When were you notified?
Weeks after. Remember, from the time of this investigation to when a warrant was executed, there were weeks apart, right? And then I get involved after that. By the time I get involved, he's already charged with this. So that's a circumstance that I inherit.
Right.
But, you hear things, you keep your eyes open, you keep your ears open, and you listen, and something wasn't passing the litmus test here. So, when you look back on this and you see actual data, it's not mine, that shows these types of things. And you go.
That's so important. It's not his data, and it's also not some independent research company. It's from the state. It's from the district attorney's office, bro. They're the ones who compiled all the information he's giving to us right now.
As far as a witness saying he split between 2 vehicles and then there was the spontaneous combustion, it truly should open some eyes, right? That is not even close to what happened.
As you started your discussion with Kyren Lacy, and look, once again, we'll talk about Mr. Hall later in the program because we're not avoiding talking about a veteran, but I want to stay on point here just for a second. When you're talking to Kyren Lacy and he's saying, Matt, I wasn't involved in this, what was his mindset like at the time?
It's horrible. Look, man, you got a young kid that's getting assassinated on public media, social media. He begged me to help him. I was already helping, but it was a consistent deal, obviously, meaning far after representation, begging me to help him. And you move as fast as you can with what you have, right? But there was a defining point for me in this whole situation that I knew he wasn't joking. And he referenced things in football fields. And I know it's easy to look back and say, oh, I bet he never said that. He's deceased now. BS. I'm telling you now what he told me. He said I was a football field. A football field is how we compare things, right? So he's saying when he got back in his lane of traffic, I know I was a football or even a little over a football field over by the time I'm back in my lane. And when I told him that they had video surveillance of this whole thing, it was like he was relieved for a second. Because I think in his mind, he thought that, which most did, most people that I talked to think that he actually hit the vehicle or he barely got past him and then they collided. That was the narrative that I heard the most. So in his mind, at least he's looking at this going, okay, somebody can show I actually watched this accident. I saw it. And he told me there was a car between them. Hell, after I read everything prior to meeting with him and the things that I heard.
How the hell can they say that he's at fault for the cause of that incident, bro?
Questioning what's going on here. Did he just get through and take off like they suggested? You and I read reports earlier. We're looking at all news reports where they say he actually collided with a vehicle. They actually said he fled a scene. They actually said he came back to the scene. Do you know how preposterous that is? None of that's true. And he sure as hell never split the difference and barely got through and then there was some big explosion. That's not what happened. Kyren Lacy passed 4 vehicles. There's no question, in a row. Nobody ever disputed that. But it's now undisputed that he got back in. 92.3 yards. Now, interestingly enough, the report indicates that at 120.4 yards, he was already entering back into the lane, right? The reason they reference that is they say in this report, the district attorney's office, their investigation yielded that at that time, Kyren and vehicle number 2, all right, 1.5 seconds before the accident, or 120.4 yards apart.
So it's at 120.4 yards, not feet.
All this is yards. This is not feet.
Big difference.
The only footage we have discussed, you and I today, is what's
it's a factor of 3 difference.
Legally required when you pass a vehicle.
100 feet.
You have to be back in your lane of traffic 100 feet. He was over 300 feet. I'll be the first to admit that particular law does not say when you're in a no passing zone. Be clear. He passed 4 vehicles in a no passing zone. Never been disputed. Not once. Did not ever dispute that or anybody else. But the big narrative spun was, and this is very important, that he was actively passing at the time of this accident. That is extremely important. We know now that is 100% false. In the conclusion of the district attorney's report,
what page are you on? I'm going to follow.
This is on page 12.
Yeah, let me get the 12 here. Okay, go ahead.
They state in here that they gave the impression that Kyren Lacy was actively passing vehicles when the crash occurred. which is incorrect. He did pass 4 vehicles, but was back in the southbound lane before the crash occurred. And now we know, according to this data, that was 72.6 yards as it stated in this report.
And he was far enough.
I think at one point while we were talking, you indicated to me that Kyren was very close to being vindicated on this matter. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so in my opinion, I had a very good idea of enough started adding up to me to know that there were holes all over this thing, right? So it's the policy of the Lafourche Parish District Attorney's Office that all homicides go to a grand jury. We were nearing that grand jury, right? Where all of this was coming out. Everything I'm telling you now is going to be presented to a grand jury in a fair, neutral, and impartial manner. So in my opinion, this never survives a grand jury. Never, never, ever survives a grand jury.
There's just no way, bro. There's no way.
We were 48 hours from that, from this report getting to the grand jury, right? So it is the process. They moved it as quickly as they could. And by that, I just mean, it was done just like, which is the right thing to do, like every other case. It was done fair and square where, look, we have a homicide. We have to go through this process. The only promise that Ms. Russell made to myself and civil counsel for Mr. Hall was that she would complete the investigation and immediately set it for grand jury out of fairness to both. And she did that. She did exactly what she promised she would do. Insofar as an investigation, we had no idea what a result would be on her end. No clue. Mm-hmm. We just knew it was being done. They didn't sit on it for some amount of time. They worked it thoroughly, but in the time manner that they could. And they set up a grand jury just like they promised. So we couldn't have asked for more from a office who has always been and will always be just extremely fair, right? I mean, that's all you can ask for. There's no fault on their part. There's certainly no fault whatsoever on the part of Mr. Hall. That's a wonderful family. Believe me, it's not easy for me to get up here right now. There's a man who passed away other than Kyren Lacy, and his life was just as important as Kyren Lacy.
And that was one thing I regretted, and I would tell the family that I didn't spend enough time talking about Mr. Hall. He's deceased, and just paying our respects to their family too, because
absolutely
they're grieving, and naturally they're going through a lot of turmoil too. But of course, I guess what we're looking for.
Absolutely. I think it's sad for anyone to lose their lives. I think auto accidents are like especially sad in general. And then I love the veterans of my country, bro. I love the people who fight for the liberties of my country. I love my country. I'm not going to lie. So I hate when veterans get treated poorly in general, but I don't like to hear when veterans are meeting the untimely demises in tragic accidents. So I hate to hear that as well. They're absolutely right about that.
Joe, and I think everyone would want it. I don't care which side you're on. You just want the truth.
I just want the accurate truth, right? What one thing, and I hate to, in fact, I'm not going to harp on it again, but you're right. That's all we're after here is a better picture of the truth. That's it. Never, what do you get me up here to try and put a black eye on state police? Look, man, these guys got a tough job. Mm-hmm. Tough job. There's some excellent, wonderful individuals, more than I can ever imagine, actually. I enjoy working with them. That's not my point here. But I hold myself accountable. I hold everyone that I come across accountable. They get no pass from me either.
I agree. Like I actually like the police a lot. I mean, they do have a hard job, and they do it to protect people for the most part. There are dickheads out there, but again, it's about accountability. If you can love doctors, for example, but if there's a doctor that's doing a shitty job, they should be held accountable. You can love your local grocery store cashier clerk, but if they're doing a shitty job, you have to hold them accountable, right? So just because you're saying that or pointing out that a cop might have done a bad job in a certain situation doesn't mean that all cops are bad or that you dislike cops. It just means you're holding them accountable. It's like holding a friend accountable. If there's a friend that gets upset that you're holding them accountable and thinks that you hate them because you're holding them accountable, that really says more about them than it does about you trying to hold them accountable, right?
Doesn't mean they're bad people, right? That's not what we're here to say. That's not what I'm saying. I've never said that. I never will. I'm simply here to compare and contrast. Now, the findings of the Lafourche Parish District Attorney's Office versus the findings of state police. We have a vast difference.
Let me go a little step further because I want to go to Houston a little bit because, there and again, if you watch Facebook or you listen to social media, you're going to get 20 different reasons why Kyren Lacy took his life. And I'm going to go out on a limb because I figure you probably know the truth on this matter. Is there anything that you would like to set straight?
Was that in Houston? That's crazy.
About the Houston part of this story.
Wow.
I don't know that the Houston part of this story didn't upset me more than the front end. Let me just say this. Kyren Lacy went to Houston that Friday with his mind made. He was suffering. There was a point in time that night at his apartment, the apartment that he, his little brother, and his cousin were in. His mind was made. He wanted the keys to that vehicle to, I don't know how to say this, to
take his life.
Yeah. So it's either you give me my keys and I do this on my own accord, or this is going to go down right here, right now. Obviously, the keys were given. A welfare call was made. Keyword, welfare check, right? There was no crime. There's none of that, man. No drugs, none of that BS. Kid's mind was made. You know the rest of the story.
So he told whomever he was with that that was the place and time. Wasn't there a shot fired or something?
That's how he got his keys. I think that's how you're showing him. And by the way, the shot was fired in the ground on purpose to let them know the seriousness of what was going on in his head.
So he wanted their attention.
He wanted his keys.
Yeah.
And they knew not to give him his keys. They knew what was going to happen. But what are you going to do? You going to watch it go down, or are you going to give him his keys?
Right.
His mind was made. Social media killed him. Killed him. All those tough guys behind the computer, same ones who come after me when I do this interview, those guys.
A young man could not get used to it.
They're kids, man. The difference between you and I, Martin, and them, they don't know anything else other than those devices.
Right.
You especially. I'm a little bit younger, but even myself, that's a later deal. That's all they know. They can't get away from them. And they believe what these people say. They believe it. It doesn't matter what I showed you today.
It goes back to what Emmanuel Acho was saying, man. Sometimes you really just gotta log off. I mean, a lot of us, most of us are never gonna go through something so extreme, but stuff can really get to you, especially if you like create content, or you're, you know, a little bit deeper into it and you're like a part-time or a full-time content creator, or you're a business owner and content is a big part of what you do. It's like an arm of your business or something like that. Stuff can really get to you, especially if you're putting yourself out there. It's really important to just remember that that's not real. I'm younger than both of these guys, but I still was alive at a time where like social media wasn't like the most important thing in the world. It's kind of crazy to kind of think back that there was actually a time when that was true. I was maybe in the 5th or 6th grade when MySpace was like really popular and everyone was like getting on MySpace and everyone had a MySpace and stuff like that. My parents wouldn't let me make one. They wouldn't let me make a Facebook. And then finally in the 8th grade, I convinced my mom to like, let me make a Facebook profile. And then I made that and I made a MySpace, and then MySpace got killed by Facebook like when I was in 8th grade. So I left MySpace, got on MySpace, then I got on Twitter like a year later, then I got on Instagram a year after that, and then it blew up and it became real life, right? We became cyborgs. We became ingrained in this digital world. But I too remember a time where that wasn't everything. So I can only imagine, you know, people who were born after like say 2002, where this is basically all they know, where when they were coming into age, they were coming into age where like social media was like a really big thing, where like being cyborgs, being connected to your devices, you know, having a device that's basically more or less implanted in your hand. Some people literally have it implanted in their hands. They have smart rings, they have smart watches, they have fucking smart glasses now, right? It's like everything to a lot of people. And it's so important to remember that that's just not true. And there's gonna have to end up being this like newly developed branch of psychology where we deal with that, whether it's from the perspective of like just addiction, which is probably what it's going to end up being. It might even end up being in the DSM, bro, like when they release the new one, who knows. But it's so important what they're talking about right now. You've got to remember, or like understanding that it's not real is so key. But even then, bro, even then it's hard. It's really hard.
There are going to be people that are going to talk horribly about him, horribly about me. Life is such, but I have a job to do. No matter who is in the way of that. You have to do what you have to do. Yep. Whatever consequences come my way from this, so be it.
And I'm hearing you loud and clear.
That's so fucking Chad, bro. Mad respect to this guy.
His own mind, and I'm speculating. He was already prosecuted in his own mind.
That's correct.
In the court of public opinion, he absolutely was.
He was already prosecuted.
And we can only imagine wasn't the Vikings about to draft him?
I had talked to the Saints. I had talked to the Vikings. Not that I'm his agent by any stretch, but there were teams reaching out to learn about this matter, you know, that really liked him. But they obviously wanted to know what was going on. I did the best that I could to tell them and advise them the grand jury was set for this particular day. We didn't make it there, though. So Kyren Lacy is going to change the way things are done. He's going to make people think twice about what they say before they say it. Not everybody. Somebody. Maybe Kyren Lacy makes someone think twice before the next investigation to say, hold on, maybe we got to look at a few other things here, right? Maybe let's not jump to conclusions. Thoroughly review.
Saying that it's not like that now.
Just maybe somebody else is saved from the same exact thing. Maybe thousands.
I do offer all other sides a chance to come. They can debate it or rebut or whatever.
To this day, formal charges were never accepted by the district attorney. This is over. There's no criminal proceeding.
Done.
This is about making a promise to a kid who begged you to help him. You make a promise, you follow through on that promise.
Wow.
It's nothing more, nothing less. To tell the world.
I got mad respect for this guy now. I mean, he'll probably get a payday if there's a settlement or if he sues, obviously, but like it's so much bigger than that to like go through. It's not even like he's battling this in court anymore. He's basically just trying to get justice after the fact, and I gotta respect that so much, bro.
Kyren Lacy's version. He never got to tell the world his version. We just did that.
Wow. Have you spoken to his family?
I did. I met with him after obtaining everything, thoroughly going through it, watching videos, listening to statements. We've seen everything. And, you know, it just brings back a lot of memories. Same for Mr. Hall's family. I know it brings back some memories you guys don't want to recall. Same for the Lacy family. Because at the end of the day, you got two very important lives that were lost. Nothing's going to bring that back, either one of them. So I talked to him. You can about imagine how it went. Very cordial, though. No yelling, no throwing, none of that. A lot of crying.
Right.
As I suspect Mr. Hall's family does the same thing, rightfully so, right? So it's just not fun for anybody, to be quite frank.
And that's the hardest part about doing an interview like this is you have so many people involved, and Kyren Lacy just happens to be such a high-profile person that I know the Halls grieving, and once again, if I had any regrets from the first interviews that I didn't talk about Mr. Hall, and from what I heard, he was a tremendous man and just a great storyteller, good person, but
class act family.
It's just, it seems to be a tragedy all the way around.
It is.
When you really look at it.
It is. There's no winners here. There never will be. The class that Mr. Hall's family has exhibited has been tremendous. I know it's hard, but truly appreciated.
Yeah, and hopefully this can find some kind of space where truth is always the best aspect of people coming forward. And I think you hit the nail on the head when you talked about the state police too, because I've worked with them for 42 years on this desk. They come every week to do news stories, and we always want to be careful on this news desk that we don't say something that sort of depicts the whole deal as being the whole state police or the whole district attorney's office or anything like that. We want to sort of categorize
Facts.
There's no question, man. There's nothing easy about it. You and I talked about it, not that it had anything to do with this. We talked about Frank Bason earlier. What a stand-up class act, right?
Yep.
Christine Russell, stand-up class act. Family of Mr. Hall, stand-up class act. The Lacy family has been a stand-up class act. And Kyren Lacy, to me, was a stand-up class act. There's no winner here. We're all lost. But at least we have a little more accuracy.
Truth.
And at least the second side of the story is told.
When you were at his funeral, you got up and spoke.
I did.
And you looked at him and you made a promise to him. Is this kind of what the promise you were talking about, finding out what took place?
Yeah. His parents had given me a pin of his picture. And at that funeral, I took it home with me, obviously, but as he's sitting there, he had always asked me previous to that, Mr. Matt, you got me, dog? Kyren, I promise you, I got you, dog. So I get home and I took that pin. It's got his picture on it, and I kept it out every day. I wrote on the back of it, I got you, dog. Never let it leave that side. And this is my version, bringing clarity. Bringing his version is me telling him, I got you, dog. Whatever that's worth, I don't know. I hope that he's looking down.
And this dude is such a class act, bro. This is inspirational.
And has a little peace, because he didn't go out with peace.
Matt, we appreciate you joining us today in tough circumstances, and thanks for coming in and sharing your thoughts and some of your findings with us.
Very welcome.
All right. Once again, we appreciate all of you joining us, and we always reach out to all aspects of this story. And of course, if you are on the Hall side of the story and you have a representative you would like to come on, or state police, or the district attorney's office, please give us a call, and we'll be glad to hear your side of the story and bring you on by your time. We appreciate it. Once again, we appreciate Matt coming on and sharing what he has found out in his investigation of the matter. Thank you for joining us, and take care.
I love that because it really shows that at the end of the day, they're trying to be legally balanced, right? And all they're really interested in is truth. And I like how fundamentally unbiased the entire thing was. I know that Matt, the attorney, is very passionate, but he's passionate about the truth, right? He's passionate about an unbiased presentation of the truth. So, I mean, this was a deep session. I got no capstone statements today. Let me know what you think down below in the comment section. Really sad story, but I'm glad that, you know, the truth is coming out, and I hope that justice continues to prevail. Like and subscribe for more, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.